Hello viewers, Purple Celery here, just enjoying a couple of early Christmas presents, 13th Doctor's sonic screwdriver, 13th Doctor's t-shirt. Today I thought that I would take an overall look at Series 11 and just share my thoughts. So firstly, let's start with how Jodie Whittaker did. I thought that she was pretty convincing as the Doctor. Right from episode 1, I never actually questioned, am I really watching Doctor Who, or is this some other show that I'm watching? But no, I will say that Jodie did have me hooked from the start. I liked how her Doctor was kind and compassionate, creative. This is a Doctor who likes building things, who likes tinkering with things, but who was also a bit socially clueless. However though, I did have a couple of concerns with the way that the 13th Doctor has been portrayed so far. My main concern is that several episodes depicted her as being quite clumsy, a bit ditzy, and we saw this for example at the end of episode 1, where she winds up getting herself and the companions floating in space. The flip side to that is that it results in her relying on other people to come in and save her and the companions. For example, the two racers in the Ghost Monument who picked up her and Yaz and Graham and Ryan. And I guess that worries me a little bit because it's not something that we've seen from previous Doctors. I mean, yes, of course, the Doctor's not perfect. We have seen the previous Doctors make mistakes. But it just seems to me that Jodie's Doctor sort of takes things one step further and puts herself out of silliness and puts her and her companions out of silliness and clumsiness and ditziness into really dangerous situations where other people have to basically come along and clean up her mess. So moving on to the companions, Graham, Ryan and Yaz. In some ways they reminded me of the three companions of Dorothy's in The Wizard of Oz. For example, Yaz reminded me of the Scarecrow. She was smart, she was quick-witted, her reactions were fast. Graham, on the other hand, was more like the Tin Man. He had the biggest heart. He was really kind and caring, and he looked out for the other members of the team. Ryan was more like the Cowardly Lion. He was trying to face his fears. He was trying to overcome the limitations of his disability, but he persevered and he never gave up, and that's what made him brave. So overall, I did like the three companions, but I felt like there were too many episodes in which one or more of them was sidelined, as in they didn't really have much to do. And I think that this would have worked better with two-parters where there was more space for the story and more space for character development. But unfortunately we had a few episodes where a character didn't really have much to do. They were just used as exposition, and I'm afraid to say that Yaz was one of the main victims of this. I think that episodes such as Rosa worked really well because every character had something to do, a task to fulfill. I also thought with the companions there were a few missed opportunities. For example, we had facets of their personalities or their home lives raised in the first episode or two, and then they were quickly dropped. For example, getting back to Yaz again, it was established in episode 1 that she was a very ambitious police officer, which is great, and I would have loved to have seen more about that. But then it was almost like that was quickly forgotten about. Overall, I just felt like they could have ramped up the tension between Yaz and the Doctor by, for example, having them butt heads a few times. For example, we could have seen, Yaz have a certain mindset, like a certain way of doing things, or a certain idea about how to do something. Then, butting heads with the Doctor, who maybe had a different idea about how to do things. And I mean, these are both women in positions of authority who are used to having their orders obeyed. So this would have been really interesting to have seen that difference of opinion. And I think this also goes more towards the TARDIS team overall. They were too pleasant. Now, no one's saying that the TARDIS companions have to be, and the Doctor have to be jumping down each other's throats the whole time, but I do think that Doctor Who is more interesting and more dynamic when the Doctor and the companions don't always get along. And this is why I actually enjoyed Series 8 quite a lot, because the Doctor, the 12th Doctor and Clara butted heads quite a lot, and they misunderstood each other, and that's what kept things interesting. Even in series such as series 4, where we saw the 10th Doctor and Donna get along the whole time, you know, just being great mates, there was still that tension, because there were hints that their time together would still come to an end. And also David Tennant and Catherine Tate just had that fantastic banter. They just like bounced off each other the whole time, which kept things interesting. So if I had to make a suggestion for the TARDIS team for Series 12, it would be, let them disagree with the Doctor once in a while. Let them clash with the Doctor every so often. So moving on to the writing. Overall, I actually thought that the writing lacked, I don't know, heart. One of the reasons why I became quickly hooked on New Who was because of Russell T Davies' writing. In episode 2, the moment that like really got me into this series was the scene where Rose sees all the aliens on the ship, and she quickly becomes overwhelmed, and she has to sort of like run away just to sort of, you know, get a handle on her emotions. And to me, that was a really authentic reaction, and it marked a departure from classic Who, where the companions basically seem to, you know, join the Doctor, go travelling through time and space, and take things in their stride just all too easily. Whereas I thought that Rose's reaction in that episode was really convincing, and that's what made me think, yeah, you know, if like a modern day person found themselves in that situation, that's how they would react. I felt that overall Russell T Davies was particularly good at like tapping into the average viewer's emotional experience. For example, the scene in Doomsday where Rose and the 10th Doctor have to part for good. I mean, that's what makes most people think, oh, geez, you know, I can really empathise with that. You know, I know what it's like to have lost and loved somebody. And even Stephen Moffat, whose strengths were more plot-based, even he had some great moments in writing emotion. Whereas I feel like Chris Chibnall just didn't seem to quite get there. And in saying this, I know that Chibnall can write drama. Like, we've seen that in his episodes of Torchwood. We've seen that in Broadchurch, which was a fantastic drama. So I know that he can write character. I know that he can write drama. But I just didn't feel like it quite coalesced in Series 11 of Doctor Who. I felt like Chibnall was almost trying to play it too safe. And I have heard that one of Chibnall's goals was to, I guess, bring Doctor Who back to how it was in the early 1960s, where the episodes were more educational. But having said that, the early 1960s were like, you know, 55 years ago now, and I feel like TV has moved on, and I think that viewers do come to expect a bit more character development, a bit more emotion in their TV shows. But with that said, it would be interesting to find out exactly how much creative control Chris Chibnall did have, and I guess how much input the BBC did have into Series 11. So moving on to the production values, I thought that they were pretty much flawless. Like, every episode was like a mini movie. I really loved the cinematography. The music was okay for me. It was just there. I didn't really notice it all that much. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah, for me, it just didn't really register at all. So overall, I found Series 11 to be okay, but not spectacular. I think my favourite episodes would have been Rosa, Kablam and It Takes You Away. Probably my least favourite episode was Demons of the Punjab, just because I just felt it was a little bit bland. And I suppose also Arachnids in the UK was kind of average as well. I think the Saranga Conundrum was the most underrated episode. I know that everybody out there seems to hate it, but I kind of had like a soft spot for it. I think it was the little Pating. I just thought he was so cute. So in summary, I think that there is definite room for improvement going forward. But the good news is I think that those fixes are quite easily done. For example, have a few two-parters, bring in like a little bit of tension between the companions and the Doctor. Maybe make the Doctor like a little less ditzier, give her a couple of great speeches to do. Having said that though, given that we now have a year to go, or at least a year to go until Series 12, I don't think that there is any excuses for Chibnall and co dropping the ball. I am expecting big things from Series 12, but this is just my opinion. So viewers, please let me know what you thought about Series 11. If you've enjoyed watching this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. This will probably be my last video for 2018, so thank you so much guys for watching this year. I really appreciate your views and your comments, and no doubt I'll be back in early 2019 to review the New Year's Day special. So until then, this is Purple Celery, over and out.